and gentlemen, it's always a great pleasure to have you all to the Gibson debate. I welcome you all to the 28th JTM Gibson Inaugural English debates. The debates, ladies and gentlemen, are held each year to commemorate the life and time of Jack Gibson, or Jack as he preferred to be called. The trophy for the debate has been donated by the class of 1995. Each year, this is a time that we look forward to some good fun, some fierce debating, and of course, to use the oft-repeated cliche by now, to pocket a few friends for life. We have already shared the topics with you, ladies and gentlemen. The format, the rules and regulations are all part of the invitation. We'll kick-start with the preliminary elimination round, which is the extempore round. Now, this is a round where speakers would pick up the topic, they would think on the topic, rather words I should say. They'll be given words, and they'll be thinking on the words for about a minute, and then there would be a warning bell at the expiry of 1 minute, and they'll be expected to start and share with us as to what it means to them, what that particular word means to them. Brevity, they say, is a soul of wit, and to be able to leave an impact and to be able to establish a connect with the audience in such a brief time is challenging indeed. I've been told that this is a format that is not a very popular format anywhere in the school circuit today. It's probably redundant and archaic. But words hold special magic for me, ladies and gentlemen. Umbrella words, pregnant words, words that are imbued with different hues. And it would be nice and interesting to find out as to what the young children today interpret of these words, as to how they manage to tease these words which are amorphous in nature, which are reticent, which are oblique, which are subtle. Next, we'll move to the turncoat round. The speakers will be speaking 1.5 minutes for, they'll propose the motion first half, and they'll oppose the same motion in the second half. 1.5 minutes, there will be, after the expiry of 1.5 minutes, there will be a warning bell, and the speakers will be expected to turn coat. The topic for the turncoat debate has been shared with the participants at 8 o'clock in the morning, hoping that they would have at least 2 hours to consolidate their arguments. This, I believe, is a little challenging than the extempore format because it's not always easy to debate against yourself. And to be able to say something that you personally might not believe in, personally might not endorse. On the basis of the cumulative total of the ranks of the extempore and the turncoat, 4 teams would sail on to the semi-finals. For all tabulation, it will be their ranks that will be counted. So on the basis of the cumulative total ranks, the teams with the least total would move on into the semi-finals. On the basis of the cumulative total ranks, 4 teams would reach the semi-finals. Now the semi-final would be the Cambridge format, wherein a team would be represented by 3 speakers. The 4th speaker can come in as a reserve speaker, as a think tank, or as a resource person. A word on the topics, ladies and gentlemen. As always, we have kept the topics uncomplicated, simple, minimal, or at least that's what we think we have done. Most of the topics that you see displayed here have got more to do with complex human relations, the churning within, rather than topicality, though we have got a few topical issues also, thrown in. 3 topics, ladies and gentlemen. 3 topics. The first is birth is always a fall, exile is a dream of glorious return, and language is courage. These 3 topics have been inspired by Salman Rushdie's satanic verses. To be born again, Salman Rushdie says, to be born again, you need to die. To land upon the bosomy earth, you need to fly. To be able to smile, you need to cry. And to win the love of the darling, you need to sigh. It so much reminds me of Emily Dickinson when she says, success is counted sweetest by those who don't succeed. To comprehend the nectar requires sorest need. Not one of the purple host who took the flag today can tell the definition of of victory so clear as the one who is defeated, dying, vanquished, and on whose forbidden ear the distant strains of triumph burst agonized and clear. Exile is a dream of glorious return. Exile, ladies and gentlemen, is a vision of a revolution. It is an eternal, never-ending paradox. It is like a ball that you hurl up into the air. Paradox, why? Because you always constantly, if you want to look ahead, you need to constantly look backwards. Language is courage. The ability to be able to think something, the ability to be able to conceive an idea, to be able to think of a concept, and to be able to blurt it out, to be able to say it, to be able to share it, to be able to write it down, is something that requires enormous courage. And this is one topic that probably weaves in it together another topic that says they campaign in words and they govern in prose. The custom of language changes with the custom of time. Once the memorable spoken word, whether it be in verse or prose, acquires a permanence of ink, once it passes from the realm of hearing to the realm of seeing, it becomes literature. And literature is something that gathers best of the present, it gathers best that is there in the past, and it hands it over as a living tradition to posterity. The best language would often transcend a particular contemporary period. We are absolutely sure about it. The past confounds us, and the future will inevitably outwit us all. Jonathan Swift says, whenever I'm reading a book, whether it be wise or silly, it seems as if it's alive and it's talking to me. I mean, the words pulsate with life, they throb with life, they reek of life, and it seems they'll bleed if cut. Unfortunately, strangely, ironically, we all have a strange fascination for rules, and language is no different. We like to distinguish the black from white, and we are always apprehensive, skeptical, and suspicious of neutral tones. The grammatical obscurantism, dogmatism, has left behind a legacy of superstition. The best example of which is Dryden's condemnation of the preposition at the end of sentence. There have been certain writers who had the courage to break these rules. Shakespeare was guilty of double comparative. Addison was guilty of misrelated and dangling participle. Milton has committed hundreds, if not thousands, of grammatical errors, and Johnson wasn't perfect either. Ladies and gentlemen, today, let there be no parameters, let there be no rules and regulations, let there be no black and white, let there be no yardstick to judge ourselves. Let's for a moment be like a test cricketer. Let's for a moment muster enough courage like a test cricketer who has masters all the laws, the principles, the niceties, technicalities of the game, but who in that single moment of inspiration, in that single moment of courage, in that single moment of motivation and flourish, forgets them all in one glorious sweep to the honor. This is also the time to examine and experiment with the chasm that exists between romanticism, creativity, imagination, flourish on one side, and prosaic, mundane existence on the other side, the world that we live in and the world in which we are properly governed. Children are suffering from childhood. This is a topic that has been inspired by Sir Ken Robinson's TED Talk. A talk on 2 schools killed creativity. The robotic way in which knowledge or learning or instruction, whatever you might prefer calling it, is dished out does not lead to psychological disorders. It leads to childhood. This is what Ken Robinson says in his TED Talk. The students today are mired and stifled by conformity, by mediocrity, by peripheral learning. Pedagogy is staid, assessment and evaluation flawed, and ironically, shockingly, surprisingly, we are reverent. Jonathan Livingston Seagull, Richard Buck in his book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull says that there's so much more to life, there's so much more to living than drab slogging forth and back to the fishing boat. Now we have a motive to live. We have an inspiration to live. We can learn to fly. We can learn to be free. J.B. Presley says, in the midnight hour, after midnight and dawn, before dawn, after midnight and before dawn, when the sleep wound come and the old wounds begin to ache, I have a nightmarish vision of the world, a world that is full of billions of people, all numbered and registered, but not a gleam of genius anywhere, not an original mind, not a rich personality of the entire pack. No. Two more topics, ladies and gentlemen. Charles Darwin, who was more of biology and less of mathematics, says, a mathematician is a blind man in a dark room that is looking for a black cat that isn't there. Now this topic has been inspired by Manjul Bhargav's Field Medal in mathematics, which is a Nobel equivalent to mathematicians. This topic also happens to be in a very small way, insignificant way, a tribute to my dear friend Naveen. He has tried explaining, he's tried his best to explain to me different terms and different terminologies that exist. Personally speaking, even a single digit is enough to fracture my spirits. But I'm sure those of you who are sitting here, several of you are maths aficionados who would go into, burst into a rapture or break into an ecstasy at the very mention of the word mathematics. And some of you probably believe that the black hole probably originated or resulted when God divided the entire universe to zero. We Indians are known as a digitality. We are the ones who have invented the zero. We are the ones who have contributed to the pi. Karmaka's algorithm, Vishwanath's constant, and Rao Blackfield theorem. Let's participate and find out, test romance with mathematics, test and find out as to what mathematics means to all of us. The end is nigh, the impending doom, apocalypse is the last topic. This is the topic for the final. The end is nigh. The impending doom, apocalypse, Armageddon, Judgment Day. If you remember, those of you who were with us last year would remember we had debated a topic in the final that said that God particle, man is the creator of God. The book of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. God created space, time, matter, universe, everything. Then came an extremely small, diminutive, apparently insignificant particle, but extremely energetic God particle that changed the way we looked at the universe. I mean, this small, seemingly insignificant, diminutive particle is apparently responsible for the Big Bang that caused the birth of the universe and the life therein. Today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, the end is nigh, is merely an extension of what we debated last year. Stephen Hawking fears that the God particle or the Higgs boson might become unstable. It might become unstable or metastable to an extent where it leads to a catastrophic vacuum decay. And this catastrophic vacuum decay is capable of wiping not only the Earth, but the entire universe. Now the big question is whether this actually happens or not is debatable, or when it happens is debatable. But the big question is, are we capable of self-annihilating ourselves before this actually happens? Walt Whitman says, my words itch at your ears till the time you understand them. Leaving enough food for thought, ladies and gentlemen, we are now invite Weber Ramrakhani, the college cultural captain, to carry on with the proceedings of the day. Weber.